Welcome to the Electric Monks podcast. Holistic interrogation tape number 7, Aaron Douglas.
Hello, and welcome to a very special edition of the Electric Monks Dirk Gently podcast. My name is Ed, as you may know, but my guest today, well, he's acted in over 125 TV and film projects. Science fiction fans will recognize him as Chief Tyrrell in the 2000s version of Battlestar Galactica. Thank you very much, sir. Most recently, he starred as police detective Sid Sokolowski in Murder in a Small Town, but fans of the Electric Monks podcast may remember him best as the villainous former rock star turned cult leader and corgi owner Gordon Rimmer in the first season of the American Dirk Gently TV adaptation. So Aaron joins us now all the way from Vancouver. Hello, Aaron. It's great to see you.
It's great to be seen. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks. Sort of conscious of time because I'm gonna eat dinner very quickly after this, and I've got a job doing sports commentary. So,
what do you what's sports commentary?
It's esports essentially. So it's sim racing. Well, people have got steering wheel and pedals, and they race cars on simulators. Essentially,
how fun!
It is. That's
very cool.
And a lot of shouting and me getting very excited. But anyway, that is precious little, although I guess everything's connected, as Dirk Gently is very fond of saying. So let's go to you, Aaron. Sure. I want to know a little bit about yourself, how you got started in acting in the first place.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I did like theater in high school, and then I went away from it. Acting was something that those people did over there. And we just watched it on the TV. And and I worked as I was a floor layer for a bunch. I am a Red Seal floor layer. I can go around the world and install things. I won't because it hurts. And then I quit that and I started working for a sports nutrition company. And I happened to I was just talking to people at a gym about their diet and stuff. And I met a guy who was an actor, and he took this scene study class, and I took that, and they offered me a spot in the full-time. It's the William Davis Center for Acting. Bill Davis was the smoking man in the X-Files, the old X-Files. Yes. And they had 12 spots, and they had people that auditioned from around the world, and he said that he would hold a spot for me because he thought that I would probably be good at this. So I quit my job. I got a student loan and started working in a restaurant. So when people ask, what do you do? I'm an actor. Oh, yeah, what restaurant? At the end of that, one of the teachers, so that was in my late 20s. And then one of the teachers said, don't tell the class, but my agent would like to meet you. And then I met him. And then I got Inspectors 2 and an episode of Stargate, SG-1. And then 3 years later, I got Battlestar Galactica, and that just fundamentally changed my life. And then cut to 2015-16, I am figuring out who the hell Gordon Rimmer is.
Yeah, so I'm interested to know how much you knew about Douglas Adams and Dirk Gently when you first heard about and you auditioned for the role of Gordon.
I had no idea what Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency was. I knew about Hitchhiker's Guide, but the rest of it was just not. I grew up in a very Christian home. I didn't get my first TV like for myself till I was like 14 years old. So there was not a lot of things we were allowed to watch or read or anything. Like comic books were not a thing. So I just was not exposed until I sort of ventured out on my own, and my parents told me I didn't have to go to church anymore. And so I'm really late to the party on a lot of things. It's funny. I was in Lake Charles, Louisiana, I believe, at a con, and I got this audition, and it was just this 1.5 page monologue of Lux du Jour as Gordon Rimmer, and it wasn't really complete. It was like he's a rock star trapped in another guy's body. And so I'm by myself, and I reached out to some people at the convention, and I said, "Is there anyone here that can help me tape this?" And there was a guy who was there with a sketch comedy and improv comedy troupe. I think they were from Oklahoma City. Aaron, if I had that, his name is also Aaron. If I have that wrong, apologies. Um, and he said he'd love to help me. He was a big fan, so we snuck off into the back of the hotel in this room, and I did this monologue as what I thought the thing was, as like Lux du jour, the rock star. Because in my head, I'm thinking Paul Stanley from Kiss, right? And then when I get the script and I read it, I realize he's Paul Stanley from Kiss, but he's trapped in Paul Giamatti's body. And so it sort of clicked there. And then so when I went to the read through, I was like, what the hell am I doing? And I was asking the people around. It was BBC America and all these bigwigs, and they're like, no, 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 we liked your read. Yeah, but that's not who he is. So yeah, we can talk about how it evolved later if you want, or I can just launch right into it. But
Uh,
it changed for me.
yeah, that's really interesting to hear, especially the glamorous life an actor just recording an audition in the back of a con in between autographs and
Yeah, it
whatever.
was wild. It was wild. And I still owe Aaron dinner if I ever see him again. Find me, buddy.
I'm sure he's watching this, as indeed probably at least one or two cast members of the show. You never know, 10 years on. Um, so my next question is obviously before you were cast, did you know there was another actor originally who was you didn't know. So okay,
No.
this requires a bit of background, I guess. So a couple of years before your show, there was a UK miniseries where Stephen Mangan, you might know from episodes, a couple of things. He's a great British comedian slash actor, and he's done a few
Yeah.
children's books as well. But he played Dirk in that series very well, in my opinion. Although Sam is great too. Let's not turn into competition. But essentially, the plan, I think, if I understand correctly, this is from Arvid Eva David, who was the producer, and he owned the rights to that in the novels. But his plan was that Mangan was going to play Gordon, and Gordon was going to be a sort of dark mirror of Dirk, essentially, as the sort of main villain of the show. And I think that might have informed some of the way that Gordon was originally characterized in some of the original scripts. Or I don't know if Manx
Oh.
soured on the idea and then they decided to go for it. Eventually, ended up being you or not. But it's just an interesting little thing. I don't I don't know how to
I
turn it
like
into a
that.
question, but
I like that. And I kind of like that idea too, that
I think
he's
some of
just
that is
like,
still in the final product as well, in my opinion.
yeah,
Because there's
no,
like the very first scene, I think, when Dirk meets Gordon,
yeah.
Gordon says something like, "Oh, it's you," and Sam is like, "Me, it is," and he's like, "Hang on, do I know you?" And obviously, in the show, he's nearly ran over him in the first episode, but I think there was supposed to be a kind of intended meta gag that ended up not being used. Where it was, oh well, it's the ex Dirk actor, so it's of course you know him because you used to be him, sort of
Yeah.
thing, I guess.
That's kind of that's fun. I think that's fun. Huh.
Yeah.
No, no, I had no idea. I just walked into this thing and went, okay.
Yeah. Oh no, no. Well, I think I remember now. They said that there was a scheduling issues because I think he had a really busy schedule, so he couldn't fly to Vancouver to do it. So
Yeah.
that's why they ended up recasting. So if I can go in a little bit deeper, obviously, because Mackenzie Gray ended up playing Lux as well in the end. So I'm interested, knowing that you were both playing the same character, Pollux, in different bodies. How much did you as actors inform each other's performance? Because I think it's the third episode, right? So Mackenzie wouldn't have come in until the second block of filming, right?
Yeah. Um, oh, from my side, not at all.
Okay, because you've
I
already done
don't,
your stuff in the first two episodes, right?
yeah, and I don't really pay attention to what other people are doing. I react off of the other actors. For me, that's what acting is listening with truth and responding in truth. Um, so like I've known Mackenzie for years. He's a real chameleon. Um, and I knew it to be two completely different people, characters, because one is like the actual rock star, and then the other guy is like, again, trapped in some schlub's body. Still that fire inside, but it's like that man who's well into his 60s and he's out of shape, but in his head he's 18 years old and all the girls like him. Um, so that was my sort of thing is this guy is just a loser, but in his mind he thinks that he is still God's gift to the world. Um, so yeah, and also the other thing is because we don't really we didn't see each other a lot
Of course, because it
during
all would have been done
filming.
in two shots, even when your original Gordon with his like mouth taped up and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think I remember there was really only like, is that the scene where the house burns down?
No, it's the prologue scene, I think, at the very
Yeah,
beginning of episode
before
4.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, I remember him being there and him being in the costume and everything like that. And he looked great. But yeah, in terms of, I don't think that I informed him either. I
Okay.
probably pretty care. He's like me. He just is like singularly focused.
Is that well? One thing I do love about that scene, very much, is there's a great reaction. I think Mackenzie is told that he has to swap into Gordon, and he says something like, "You will not swap me into that." I think, and I'm just only saying what he said. You will not swap me into that fat piece of shit. I believe is the exact words. And there's a great
That's
reaction shot
fair.
from you where your eyes wide. It's just like, "Come on, man, that's a bit harsh," which
Yeah,
I've always loved as a sort of.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, it's fair. It's fair. So I'm not going
Yeah.
to complain about that.
And if you wanted to sort of like go into sort of the process of finding Gordon, I guess is that the way to say it?
Yeah, well, there was like makeup tests and camera tests and things like that, and then wardrobe. They wanted to like, here's the wardrobe, and um, in your mind you're this, but in reality you're this. And so I remember, I remember talking to them and going, okay, so who is this guy? Well, no, he's like this super super handsome guy, but then he gets put into this just schlubby body, and I went, okay, well, we need to go the full schlubby body, so. His idea is he wanted the slicked hair. So grow your hair as long as you can in the time we have. And so got a haircut and did the slick back. And then I said, you know what he needs? He needs like those 80s pedophile glasses. And I remember Rob going, really? What? And I said, yeah, it's like he's got really bad eyesight. And so he has these 80s pedophile glasses that he has to look over like this. And
That's
then he
Rob
does
C.
this.
Cooper, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Nice, you still got them.
So yeah, so they gave me these glasses. They only gave me one pair, so we had to be very careful because if they fell apart, which they did a lot, everything would have to stop filming while they fixed it. And then they said, "Hey, we're making you this rock star coat thing," and and so
Oh, the
here's
yak fur coat, yeah.
the yak fur coat. Yeah, worn by me, worn by Elijah, bought by my friend Michelle.
Mhm.
Thank you, Michelle. And so then I started getting an idea of what this guy is, and I remember I showed up on day one, and from my filming, and I said to Dean Parasot, the director, um, I said I have an idea of what this guy should be and how he kind of like in my head, and I said he's got like a voice and his walk, like everything that is on the outside is sort of like inside as well, except for the guy who doesn't see himself like this. And he said, okay, so show me. And I slumped my shoulders and I, tucked my ass in and I did this voice and I had these glasses and on, I put them down in my room. And I just walked back and forth in front of Video Village and it was him and Max and I think Rob might have been there. And yeah, Dean and Dean just went, I love it. I love it. I love it. I said, okay. And so that's what we did. And so we did that for a bunch of episodes, and people were like, love it, love it, love it. And then I got a call from Rob, and he said, yeah, it's not, this is like episode 4 or 5. It's not really working. I said, what? No, you're like the handsome guy next door that's mysterious, and the neighbors are like, we like him, and he's kind of quiet, but we're a little afraid of him. And I said, that's not who this guy is. Like inside, yes, but not outside. And he said, just they want you to tweak it a bit. I went, okay. And then I changed nothing. I changed nothing. And I did like a couple more days of filming. And then they came and they said, good note. You took the note really well. That's perfect. We love the changes you've made. We love what you're doing. Okay. I have no idea what. Because I was just like, I am not. Because somebody else got the call too. The woman with the crazy, crazy hair.
Was it
Um,
Jay Deshette as Farah? Oh, you mean Fiona as Bart? Fiona of.
Fiona.
Yeah.
Fiona. She got the same call. And I remember I went for a walk around my house and we were on the phone for like an hour and a half going, what are they asking us to do? We're in the middle of the season and suddenly we're going to be a different thing. And she's like, yeah, I don't understand. And I said, okay, well, how about you and me just don't change anything? Pretend we do, but don't change anything. And she laughed. She said, okay. And I don't know what she did with her side, but for my side, I just went, all right. And then we had to do some reshoots and they brought me a laptop and they said, remember what you did at the beginning of the season? We loved that. really? The stuff you told me was wrong and I needed to, okay, never mind. Keep going. Go expand. They said, so in these reshoots, we want you to do it just like this. We just need a couple different camera angles. And I said, okay. And so I have no idea what the hell went on in that show. Um, it was the weirdest shoot of my life. Um, but it turned out to be one of the coolest things that I've done and one of my favorite characters to have played. But yeah, that's how Gordon came about and how it tried to get changed and tried to change it back. And I just kept going with what I saw who this guy was. And Dean just jumped out of his chair every time and said, I love it, I love it, I love it. And then at one point, after we do the scene where I have the guitar and I smash the girl and we're taking
When
back
Caroline
control,
Cave, Sammy, yeah.
Caroline, yeah. Um, like a couple of days later, I was walking across the lot and Max, who really didn't talk to me much, walked up to me and he said, you are so good in that episode. That scene, oh my God, it's so good. And then he just walked away. I said, okay, thanks. And I thought, okay, well, I'm doing something right. Somebody likes it.
Yeah, it did feel from the outside like a very chaotic production. And
We sent eight people to nine, no, we sent six people to hospital in 8 episodes.
yeah, I think one of them was Sam in like the first 2 weeks. He trips over during the bridge scene, I think.
Blew up his shoulder.
Yeah, and I think they even because later on in the show, about halfway through the season, the bit where Fiona's character Bart is trying to kill Sam, he gets hit in the shoulder by a drone or something. So
Yeah.
I think that might have been the same shoulder as well. So that feels
Just so they could put him in a sling or something, or he
yeah,
can
I think it
favor the
gets
shoulder.
shot in the shoulder twice by the harpoon as well by the
Yeah.
Ed and Zed and stuff. So anyway,
So just make it so why is he always holding and favoring that shoulder? Yeah, because he
poor
blew it
Sam.
up. And then he had to go get surgery after we were done. Crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, wow. And it was interesting also to hear that Fiona was getting sort of similar notes because I think her character Bart was the one they took the longest to cast as well. I think originally Bart was supposed to be a male character, and they sort
Oh.
of changed their mind quite early on because I think they wanted it to be a little bit because she ended up sort of having these very sort of parallel scenes to Dirk, and they didn't want them to feel too similar. I suppose was the thinking, but we never really heard why. It's just they just wanted to cast a different actress. But anyway, I'll move on to my next question, and it's
Sure.
sort of linking in Battlestar a bit because obviously Battlestar and Dirk were both reboots slash reimagining. I think Battlestar's a little bit more closer to the source material,
Yeah.
having seen both, but and it's aimed at a very different audience to the original versions, obviously, because they're trying to introduce a new audience, and they're both interestingly shot in British Columbia as well. Both Gordon and the Chief as well. They're very different characters. One is ostensibly very heroic, the other is less so. But they've both got big issues with their identity, especially as the Battlestar goes on as well.
Yeah.
So, was there any bit that playing the Chief helped you play Gordon in a way?
Um, I think only in the sense that my experience on Battlestar and trusting my instincts and just, sort of the naivete of I don't know how this works, so I'm just going to keep doing it the way I want to do it because it makes sense to me and nobody told me no. I think that sort of gave me the confidence, and it gives me the confidence now to just when I go on set, I'm just like, this is who this guy is until you tell me he's not. And so I think that is really kind of the only parallel is, but also Gordon's this big, right? Chief is kind of this big, but inside Chief is, and I think Gordon's sort of a similar kind of like just what the hell's going on. Um, yeah, I think it's sort of more me, the actor, having the freedom to just do whatever the hell it is that I do, which I'm not really kind of sure still, but it seems to work sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, but you just wing it and it'll work out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a
Make it up as
very
I go.
Dirk philosophy, funnily enough. I think it's from the books and it ends up in the show as well, Zen navigation, where you follow someone who looks like they know where they're going and it may not always take you where you intend to go, but you often end up places where you need to be. So that's
Oh, I like that. I like that.
have a good Douglasism, essentially. Uh, this is a question because a couple of times this season there are these songs that are, I think, supposed to be from. I wondered they were real songs at first, but they're made up songs because they don't sound like any other song I've ever heard. These Lux de Jour songs, these sort of soft rock little sort of ballads that Gordon is listening to at various points, and he plays in the bar when Sammy's there as well. Just after they discover Lux's body under the house after it burns down. Do you know who wrote and performed those songs, or was that sort of kept from you? Because you probably wouldn't have heard them on set, I guess.
No, you don't hear anything on set. They
No,
just
yeah.
say that there's soft music playing in the background. And, until you watch the episode, you don't really even know what they're going to be. But oh yeah, I guarantee you they hired some artist, probably some cool artist to
Mhm.
knock those out. But yeah, no, that's way after we finish filming do they start mixing that stuff in.
Fair enough. Above the pay grade, unfortunately.
Yes, indeed.
So my next question is about actors. Now I've got something a little nice to show you. I sort of made these out of Lego. I don't know if it's let me get my camera up so I can actually see, but we got Gordon and we got Ed and we got Zed there. So we got the big fur coat, the
I
crossbow, and a little
love it.
awesome, yeah. The coat's actually quite hard to do because it's
Oh yeah,
to the fiddle
that's
alarms.
great.
But yeah, so my next question is about the actors that you shared scenes with, because obviously we mentioned Fiona, but Fiona, I don't think ever shares a scene with you, sadly.
No.
But obviously you ran into Sam and Elijah a couple of times. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this interview in the first place was the news that Julian McMahon, who obviously plays Patrick Spring, Zachariah Webb, the guy that
Yep.
later on you're doing the deal with essentially to try and get the machine for. And obviously he passed away last year very sadly
Yeah.
from cancer, and it made me feel sort of that I should make more of an effort to reach out and appreciate a lot of the people who worked on the show while they're still with us as well. And so yeah, I've written a list of all the ones that I can remember that you're in the scenes with. But if you want to add any, is there any sort of fun scenes or sort of fun time, maybe even outside of working on the show, that you remember or want to share with us?
Uh, yeah, there was, I mean, everybody was so kind and lovely. Sam is just the nicest man. He's such a kind man. He came over here, and had his boyfriend had just flown, his boyfriend or husband at the time, I don't remember. Uh, he had just flown in from London and they came over and they sat on the deck and had dinner and it was just lovely. He's such a nice man. Elijah was great. You just sit and talk expensive wines with Elijah all day long. Uh, and talk about a guy who's been in it for a long time.
Yeah,
Uh,
since being a child actor as well, and then
yeah,
Lord of the Rings, of course. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, Christian and Michael Adamthwaite had a lot of scenes with those guys, and they're such great guys. We had a lot of fun because they were very specific, weird characters, and I got to play off of them and yell at them and put ties around their neck. They were always great for a laugh and sitting in our cast chairs and having a
I
laugh.
love all those scenes where Gordon is just randomly dressing the drones up like
Yeah,
he's their
yeah,
tailor.
yeah. That was so great when yeah he jumps down off the flatbed truck and goes around
I
and gives
love
the
the dolphin dive he does on the truck when he's giving
yeah.
his big speech about like, oh, by the way, I made a kitten shark.
Yeah, we got a kitten shark. Um, yeah, that reminds me of that whole scene in the hotel room, that big suite, and we destroy the couch, and the kitten shark goes around, and yeah, oh man, it's
And of course,
all
there's two Julians as well, because you got one in the
yeah,
big mech suit and then the guy with the beard.
yeah, yeah. He was a lovely man, lovely, but very kind man. It's just everybody's just like there's no jerks. One of my but one I spent a lot of time with, and I've just recently did something else with her. Um, she plays Rapunzel, goes
Oh,
into
Alison Thornton.
Allison Thornton, yeah. Um, she's so great and she's so lovely. And she was just learning to drive when it made me feel so old. Um, and she was so fun and she was up for anything. Um, when we're in the machine room and they get swapped into a mouse and we're running around and chasing and playing catch the mouse. And she looked at me and she said, "What if I ate it?" And I said, looked around and I went, "Shh, just do it. Don't ask. Just do it." And so then there's that great thing where the camera comes in, she goes, "Hum," and the director went, "Oh, that." And so that was all her. And because I had other ideas, I'm going to stomp on it or whatever. And she said, "No, what if I just eat it?" I said, "Oh God, I love it. It's so good." Yeah, she was lovely. And we had another scene outside of at Riverview, outside of the what was the bowling alley of Riverview, and has been shuttered since like the 60s or something. And this thing is haunted. Like Riverview is haunted. This one particular building, you're not allowed in. You cannot, you can go like inside the foyer area, but the doors to the main area are bolted, slammered, boarded up, shut. You cannot go
Is
in from
this
the,
the building they use for the animal transfer unit by any chance?
it's the building you go in, but then we filmed all of the inside stuff somewhere else.
Ah,
Riverview is
okay.
this
The
huge
exterior shots.
exterior shot. This is a big wide shot where Gordon comes out the front door and he's on the phone and his car's there and she's in the car and he says, "I get over here and bring a mouse." And then gets in the car
End
and they
shot in
drive off.
episode 3, I think it is. Yeah, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly. Because that's also the scene where he learns on the radio that they found Lux's body under the car, and he's punching the steering wheel, and
yeah,
Allison licks your hand, and you say it's
yeah,
not your fault. Don't worry.
yeah. So she's in the car, but I was inside the building and they had this false front in the building, a false door. And then, but inside that was about from that wall to the next wall was probably 25 feet or so. And this building's wide, like it's a wide building. And it inside there, it's all moldy. Like it's actually the building's just falling apart. And there was this wall over here, and it just was like covered in moss and goo and stuff, and water was running down inside. And there was a PA inside with a walkie-talkie because the cameras were way outside behind the fence, like 100, 200 feet away. And there was just this big wide shot of me coming out the door on the radio, get in the car, and then I drive off. And there's no crew in the shot except for this one guy inside on the radio. And we're standing there while they're getting ready to go. And we both kind of get this really like hair on our arms going up. And it was a really odd, creepy feeling. And I looked at him and I could see him. He's just standing there holding the walkie-talkie and he's just shaking. And they yelled, "Action!" And it comes over the walkie-talkie, "Action!" And I look at him and he's just white. And I go out and I do the scene. They yell, "Cut!" He comes sprinting out of the building, sprints past me, sprints past the crew, runs all the way to his car, gets in, and just drives away. Drives home. Never came back to the show. And they went, "What happened there?" I said, "I have no idea, but something's weird about that building." And they said, "Okay, we need one more." So I go back in. I pick up the walkie-talkie. It's dead. Brand new battery, gone. So I said, "The batteries." I walked outside. They said, "Can you hear me?" And I said, "No, I can't hear, but somebody just yell. I don't need a new walkie-talkie. Just yell." And I don't want to be in this building. Just put the walkie-talkie down, and I'm standing there, and they're like, you can hear them talking and talking. I open the door, "Let's go!" And then I close the door, and just as they start rolling, I feel this press movement over here, and I look, and there's this black, and I swear this happened, people. This black mass is just crawling down the wall. It's sort of wispy, smoky black mass, and it's going down the wall like this. And then I hear this for about 8 seconds. And I'm just standing there. I'm looking like this. I'm going, you yell action, you yell action. And they yelled action. And I got out the door and I did the thing and I got in this, finished the scene. They yelled cut and they said, "Okay, we need to go one more." And I got out of the car and I walked right to them and I said, "Nope, nope, we're done. We're done. I'm not going back in there. Nope, nope. You can start me outside the door, but I'm not going back in." And then, so we had a conversation about what happened, and some people were skeptical, and some people went inside and came right back out, and went, "Yeah, no, 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 there's something in there. That is weird." So of all I've had haunted experiences at Riverview, and if you look it up, you'll see it. That was one of my creepiest. Michael Adamthwaite has a really creepy one in a different building as well. So if you talk to him, ask him about the one down in the bowels. Anyways, go to your
Well,
next.
I'll have to get into contact because
He's
you're
a
the
great
first one.
guy.
You're the first
He's
one, Larry.
Oh, really? Oh, Adam Thwaite is the best. He's such a nice man.
I'll
Big
have to,
voice actor.
oh,
Huge voice actor.
I have to hunt down his agent or whatever. Then, but yeah, that's just fascinating to hear because if the prevailing theory was that was a ghost, which seems to be what you were leaning towards there, that's really fascinating because in the original Dirk Gently book, there is a character called Gordon. He's not named Gordon Rimmer, he's called Gordon Way, but he's a sort of Clive Sinclair computer designer, inventor sort of type. And early in the book, he gets shot in the chest by opening the beaver's guy, gets shot in the chest and dies. And the surprising thing is his story continues because he's a ghost from that point on. So he is sort
Oh,
of trying to finish his unfinished business for the rest of the book because he was on the phone to his sister essentially. So there's maybe a sort of
maybe
art,
the other side knew.
yeah, art becoming, yeah, the sort of, or it could be someone from the hardcore Douglas Adams fans playing a joke on you, a very
If they
prolonged
knew
joke.
that we were filming there, yeah, but that was a creepy joke. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, my next question is, how hard was Gordon's legendary "What is going on" monologue rant? So this is from episode 6, the rant where Gordon is incredibly. He has a sort of warm up one on the bridge, I think, in episode 2,
Yeah.
and then he has a more manic one in episode 6, where I also noticed in the final cut, the episode that they use. I don't want to say you flubbed the line because maybe it was a creative choice, but he says. Ends it by saying, "How is Patrick Spring be in two places at the same time?" Which is sort of he's so confused he can't get the words out. So was it a tough monologue to learn, or once you've done it a couple of times, were you just nailing it?
Uh, no, not necessarily tough to learn because it was well written. And also I'm very blessed with a memory for dialogue. I can read a scene twice and have it. So learning lines is not a difficult thing for me. Uh, the thing that was annoying about that is we shot the shit out of that scene. Like that director kept going and going, different camera angles, different lenses, like all the way around. She did the 360 cameras all the way around and just kept going and new setups and new setups. We would go back to the green room and sit there in our chairs going, "We're going again? What do we like?" But Sam, Elijah, and myself are just looking at each other going, what else could they possibly want? Like, haven't they just shot everything? Yeah, no, they want one more of these and one more of those. So
Especially because Sam and Elijah are on their knees for most of that scene
they're
as
on their
well.
knees for the thing, and I'm just barking. So it was like 8 hours of me just break for lunch, come back, and me 8 hours of me just barking at these guys. And once you've done it so many times, then for me especially, it gets boring. Like my best takes are the first 5 to 10, 1 to 10. Other people get better as we go. Like if you're on Battlestar and you shoot the main thing and then you shoot close-ups, you shoot my close-up first, and then you shoot Jamie Bamber as Apollo because Jamie gets better as things go along. I get worse because I get bored with it. Um, and this was just like, lady, seriously? Like we're all tired, we're all exhausted. No one wants to hear these lines anymore. But we just kept going and going and going, and that's just what they pay us to do. Talking meat props is what we are.
Yeah, there we go. But I suppose the end result does sort of make it somewhat
It was a
worth it.
great scene. It was a great scene. My friend Michelle, she's like, I love this show, and that's my favorite scene. Yeah.
It's funny. It's great that it's a lot of people's favorites, especially from the first season, and you're like right at the center of it. So that must be a gratifying feeling on some level.
It's
Uh,
just fun to yell at Elijah. It
mm.
just really is.
Yell confusedly as well.
Yes, exactly.
So you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to, but we mentioned Max a couple of times already in this, and there's a lot of people in the cast and crew, and indeed outside of Dirt Gently itself, the other things that Max has worked on that have come out with some quite harrowing experiences of working with him. Uh, you've already told a little bit that you had only very brief interactions with him. Does knowing that some of that change how you feel about it, or does it not affect how you feel about the show?
Oh, it doesn't affect how I feel about the show. If it affects how I feel about the experience of the people that were my film family for that moment in time. Horrifying to know that anybody was going through anything of the kind. I'm very much compartmentalized when I'm not on set interacting. I'm just gone. I'm in my trailer. I'm in my chair with my headphones on, and then after work, I don't go to the events. I don't go for dinners. I don't go for the drinks and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really shut off from anything that was going on outside of literally being on set. So yeah, brief interactions with Max. he always seemed a little hesitant around me. And now it kind of makes sense. I don't know why, but I remember at the time thinking he sort of tiptoes around me, but that's okay. Whatever. I guess I'm just a little bit of a bull in a china shop sometimes at work. But yeah, no, it breaks my heart to know that people were having to go through those experiences. Certainly, if I had known things at the time, I would have said my piece. They probably would have killed Gordon sooner, but that's fine. I'm all right with that. Yeah, I get very protective. So yeah, it's sad that that happened. He was a brilliant mind, but he's clearly got some issues, and I my heart goes out to anybody who had to deal with any kind of nonsense from
Mm.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I completely
it's
agree.
sad.
It's tough as a fan because I went in sort of as a fan of the book saying, "Oh, the Americans are ruining it," and they end up liking the show, and then, oh well, this stuff comes out about Max, and it's like, oh, can we still keep supporting the show? It's been cancelled anyway, and sort of it's a bit of a
Yeah,
mess. So, but yeah, my
I
heart,
sort of
I agree completely with what you
separate
said.
the
My heart goes out as well. Anyway,
yeah, I separate the things. You know, you can still have this piece of
art and
cool
the
art,
artist, right? Yeah.
but yeah, but the that person's a lunatic. So
It certainly doesn't change Douglas Adams. Or like I said, if you get a
no,
chance, please read the books as well.
yeah.
So final couple of questions. Do you ever get recognized by people as Gordon the same way as playing the Chief, like, or is it more just the Chief that you get recognized for?
It's mostly the Chief, not so much now because I look less and less like the Chief the older I get.
Oh.
Unless you're like a hardcore fan, they go, "Were you in Battlestar Galactica?" Or people that are watching it now, like for the first time with their parents because they were of an age that
Mm.
was not appropriate to watch. And now that it's on Paramount Plus, people are sort of coming back to the show. Every once in a while, I will get uh, a Gordon Rimmer, Dirk Gently, and I'm always blown away because it's so foreign. Like you get people that are like, how do I know you? And I just go, well, we probably went to school together. It's like, no, I'm in my 60s. You're clearly not there. It drives people crazy. But when they do, that's a diehard fan. When they come up and go, were you Gordon Rimmer and Dirk? I was. Oh my God, that's insane. And I know that it's so far removed from me just sort of walking around in my golf clothes or whatever, because I had friends who said, "Oh, I heard the show's really good." I said, "Oh yeah, give it a try." And they will text me like after season episode 4 or 5 and go, "I thought you said you were in this." And I said, "I am in this." Well, who are you? And I said, "I'm Gordon, the guy with the glasses." Like, get out. Actor friends of mine who didn't even recognize me in the show. Maybe they're not that bright. I don't know.
Well, the clue's in the
But
name, character actor. You're playing a character.
there you go. Yeah. So, no, I really do delight in it when somebody recognizes. I was at a convention and a young man, a teenage boy, came up with his dad, and I thought, okay, here comes a new Battlestar fan, and he was losing his mind because he loved Dirk Gently so much. It was his favorite show, and that it always makes my heart happy.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And it's the same here. I always love seeing that sort of passion, even though my passion side with like the books and the Stephen Mencken show that nobody outside the UK has ever seen. But yeah, it's brilliant to hear that. Just in the brief time we got left down, is there anything coming up that you want people listening or watching this to see you in?
I am doing I'm doing a video game right now that I'm not
Ooh.
allowed to name, but it is so cool. So cool. Oh, I can't even say any more about it. No, that's all I can say. Actually, I'm doing two video games. One of them is humongous, and the other one is big, but not humongous. And I am doing a show for anybody who watched a show called The Boys, which I
Ah,
love.
yes.
Yes, I am on the prequel to The Boys called Vought Rising. Will come out in 2027. And I cannot say who I am playing, but I'm playing it'll be a very well-known person. Um, that's all I can say. And I am so excited to be a part of the Boys universe because I loved The Boys, the show. And this is really, 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 really cool. So we finished season 1 and we're waiting to see if or when season 2 goes. So
Oh wow! Best of luck. When you said you're in a boys thing, I kept thinking, "Oh, is Aaron going to do some kind of weird superhero sex thing?" I don't know.
God, I hope not. But probably, I don't know.
I guess we'll see. Anyway, this has been brilliant, Aaron. I'm just going to wrap up. It's been a blast. Thank you very much. So that concludes a fantastic interview. My thanks to Aaron and to Michelle for setting it all up, and I'm definitely going to take Aaron's advice and try to reach out to Michael Adamthwaite, famous of course for playing Zed, fairly soon. If you want to contact us, go to our website at dirtgentlypodcast.wordpress.com. Thanks very much for listening, and goodbye.